Hey guys, so brewing a sour beer today. It's going to be a kind of a lambic recipe using East Coast Yeast 20 bud counting. So it's going to be 11 pounds of Pilsner from Belgium, 1 pound of flaked oats, 1 pound of torrefied wheat, 1 pound of white wheat, 4 ounces of acid malt just to get my pH right. I'm going to use about 1/4 ounce of Willamette hops. I think I've got Hallertau. 6 grams calcium chloride, 4 grams of Epsom salt. I'm going to split the 1 pound of flaked oats. One half of it is going to go into the mash. The other half, we're going to put it into the boil. Got the water salts in there. 6 grams of calcium chloride, 4 grams of Epsom salt. I was going for a mash temperature of like 156, but I think I'm going to be a little bit low. Yeah, quite a bit lower, but that's okay. 151.5. That's right. So I was going for a very light colored wort, and that's just about the color I was looking for. So here's my half a pound of oats. My boil kettle's at about 180 now. Just going to steep these oats in here until it comes up to a boil. The idea is that we're replacing a turbid mash, and the turbid mash is where it's kind of like a decoction. You take some off of it's like a step mash. You take some off at each step before any conversion happens, and you bring it to a boil. The idea is to get a lot of starch into the wort for the Brettanomyces to break down over time. So we are on Homebrew Talk. They've been talking a lot about adding oats in the boil to get the starch in there. And I think this was brought up first with Flat Tail Brewery, I think, on the Sunday session on the Brewing Network. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, so here we go. I was going to add some 5-star defoamer, 4 or 5 drops of that. This really helps with boilovers. Boilovers are a non-issue for me. 4 drops should do it. So the East Coast Yeast, that's this here. We'll see if the camera focuses. Probably not. East Coast Yeast 20 bud counting. It is a collection of all their bacteria, their Brettanomyces. So you got Lactobacillus, Pediococcus, all their strains of Brettanomyces, all mixed into one culture. Now you're not supposed to make a starter out of this. I think the reason you don't want to make a starter is because the Saccharomyces can get out of control, and the balance will kind of be upset. Because your Saccharomyces is going to consume all the sugars in the starter, and it's going to outgrow the Brettanomyces and the bacteria. So I think that's my theory on why they say not to make a starter with it. If anybody knows for sure, please put a comment below. So yeah, I got this on lovetobrew.com. It's really hard to get. You basically have to watch like the thread on Homebrew Talk all the time and see if the stuff comes in. It comes in about once every month and a half, 2 months, I think, and it usually sells out the same day. So you gotta be on top of it. I have heard that it makes a really good sour beer for the first time, much more sour than the blends from Y Yeast. So we'll see how it does. Also, supposedly it also blows off really heavy, so it's a really aggressive fermentation. You definitely want to use a blow off too. Another note on this, I collected about 6.5 gallons, which was spot on for my recipe, but I decided I wanted to collect closer to 6 gallons, so I might shorten my boil to do that. This wort is really cloudy and starchy. Just kind of teabagging these oats a little bit here. Now we're up to about 200 degrees. I don't know if you can see how cloudy that is, but it's yeah, real nice and starchy. So it just got to boil. I dunk this one more time. Yeah, so all the enzymes are deactivated when we steep these oats, and all the starches just seep right on out. I'm going to do about a 1/4 ounce of Hallertauer. My original recipe was Willamette, but I didn't have that, so I'm going to measure out. Just going to guess about a 1/4 of an ounce. You don't want too much hops in there. You don't want too many IBUs because it can inhibit some of the bacterias because hops are antiseptic. I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of White Labs yeast nutrient. Well, there we go, running into the fermenter. I'm not going to aerate the wort any more than what it is aerating just right here. You know, throwing it off into the fermenter. So yeah, just going to fill up the fermenter, pitch the yeast, and we're good to go. We'll see how the fermentation goes. I was going to add a light American oak spiral. Just going to dump it right on in. So about 20 hours after pitching, this is the result. As you can see, there's no real blow-off going on in there. Usually East Coast Yeast 20 Bug County, from what I've heard, produces a lot of blow-off. But I did something different in this beer. I put about 4 drops of the 5-star defoamer, and I've read about it helping keep the krausen down. So I think that's what's doing that. There's just a light pillowy kind of krausen on there. You can see the oak spiral still. So yeah, it's fermented nicely though. A lot of CO2 blow off. One other thing about this beer, Colorado Fly Fisherman on YouTube is going to, I think, brew the same recipe. So we'll probably do a trade in like a year and a half and see how different the beers come out. Cheers, guys.